The WWE is an absolute machine at churning and creating new top-tier WWE superstars. And part of the reason for this is both the Performance Center as well as NXT as a developmental brand for the main roster. Because of these two, the WWE has essentially guaranteed that they will never have a shortage of top-tier WWE superstars for the foreseeable future. It also means that the WWE doesn't have to rely on going into the independent circuit and signing expensive, high-profile independent talent to WWE contracts. Because instead, they can just look internally at their plethora of incredibly talented 20-something-year-olds. In today's video, we're going to look at those 20-something-year-olds, and I'm going to tell you who I think are the best WWE superstars right now under 30 years old. Let's just say that the future of the WWE is incredibly bright. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, ring that bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, I'm confident that you're going to fall in love with this YouTube channel because we always upload daily wrestling content. And folks, my voice is going to be funky throughout this entire video. I just came back from the Copa America final between Colombia and Argentina. And if you've seen the news, you saw what a giant shit show that was. I also just got off the plane and landed back home, so I'm still pretty disheveled from my trip and the flight. But I still found time to wear my fun guy shirt for this. All right, let's jump into it now. Before we go into my list, I do want to give a kind of honorable mention here to Carmelo Hayes. Carmelo Hayes, as of the making of this video, is 29 years old, so I guess he is eligible for this list. However, he literally turns 30 in like 2 weeks, so I figured I would keep him off the list, but I would let you know that I, of course, would hold him in incredibly high esteem as a top performer under 30 years old. It's just that he turns 30 in like 2 weeks, so just to make sure that this video is a bit more evergreen, I wanted to let you know that I'm keeping Carmelo Hayes off of the main list. Now let's look at the actual list that I have. Let's start off by looking at Austin Theory, who currently, as of the making of this video, is 26 years old. And that is incredibly wild to think about, considering how much Austin Theory has actually already accomplished in the WWE, and the fact that he's been around since 2020 when he was called up honestly kind of prematurely to help give bodies to the main roster during the pandemic. So Austin Theory has been participating at the high level of the main roster since he was like 22 years old. And between 22 and 26, he's already beaten John Cena at WrestleMania, won singles gold, won tag gold, and won Mr. Money in the Bank. So clearly the WWE right off the get-go saw a lot of star power potential in someone like Austin Theory. Now everyone will tell you that this is Vince's guy and this is why he was pushed so heavily when Vince McMahon was still around, and maybe that is the case. But even though he was Vince's guy, even right now under Triple H, I am seeing him develop so much more as both as an in-ring performer and more than anything as a character. Right now he's in this like moral quandary of should I listen to Johnny Gargano? Should I look at what's going on with Grayson Waller as he accidentally seems to get me hurt every single week and cost me matches? So I love the character growth and dynamic that we're seeing from Austin Theory recently. And he's done all of this and is still only 26 years old. So even though he saw a lot of success in his early years, there is still a lot of room for improvement for Austin Theory. But what's nice is that we are seeing that improvement. It's really frustrating when we know that somebody needs to improve and they aren't budging in the right direction. But with Austin Theory, even with all of his great success at the beginning and what many people would consider to be a downfall, he is still improving every single week in the WWE. So soon, I'm foreseeing a bit of a second renaissance here for Austin Theory. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets another major push before he turns 30. You obviously knew that Braun Breaker was going to be in this video. He is currently, as of the making of this video, 26 years old. Now, unlike Austin Theory, Braun Breaker has spent the majority of his time in NXT under the WWE banner, and in NXT, he did it all. He destroyed everyone. He was a multi-time NXT champion over there. He was a tag champion over there, and he was always seen and considered as the next guy to be able to grab the brass ring and sit at the top of the mountain in the WWE, and we are slowly seeing that progression towards that spot at the top of the mountain for Braun Breaker. He's already impressing the ever-living hell out of every single WWE fan across the world with his intensity, with how fun his matches are. But more than anything, I know that Braun Breaker is known by how crazy good and intense he is in the ring, but listen when I tell you that this man is incredibly good on the microphone as well. Every time that man grabs the stick, I am convinced by everything that he says. I think that Braun Breaker is the picture-perfect example of why the Performance Center and NXT as a developmental system is so important, because they were able to get this guy so ready for TV, Monday Night Raw, to the point where he was an instant hit, an instant star the second he hit Friday Night SmackDown and Monday Night Raw. The future for Braun Breaker is ridiculously bright. Dirty Dominic Mysterio. As of the making of this video, he is currently 27 years old. Technically, he's been in the WWE since like 2005. So he is a veteran of this industry. In fact, he's been in the WWE longer than people like Seth Rollins. Just keep that in mind. That's how much of a tenured vet this 27-year-old man is. I think what I love the most about Dominic Mysterio is the fact that he plays so well off of other characters on screen. I feel like he's always at his best when he's jabbing back and forth with somebody as opposed to being by himself on the microphone. I still feel like there's a lot of need for improvement when he's by himself cutting a promo, but when he's backstage having back and forth with other members of Judgment Day, with Rhea Ripley, of course, the stuff with Liv Morgan recently, back and forth jabs with Damian Priest, it's always really good. And because he's so good at what he does in interactions with others, it automatically elevates the other person that's on screen with him. The other thing about Dominic Mysterio is that compare his in-ring work from back in the Thunderdome era when he was just Rey Mysterio's son, and he is light years better. Dominic continues to improve every single week that he's out there doing his thing. But more than anything, I have to give kudos and props to Dominic for pivoting and pretty much saving his career, because already so early in his 20s, he was going to be pigeonholed as just Rey's kid. And I love the fact that he stepped out of that shadow and created what's already turning out to be a great legacy for himself. If you don't watch NXT, you are missing out on one of the most exciting young talents in the entirety of professional wrestling, not just the WWE. And his name is Javon Evans, a recent signee from a wrestling company called DPW. He has been taking the show of NXT by a storm. This guy is so incredibly entertaining. His entrance theme needs some work. Ya boy is bouncy, is about as Def Rebel an entrance theme as you could possibly get. But after the entrance theme, once he gets in the ring, my goodness, this guy is a roller coaster of emotions when seeing him bounce all over the place, doing some of the nuttiest moves that I've ever seen, selling like he gets hit by trucks. The only thing that I would say that I would love to continue to see improvement on is his backstage segments and his promos. I would love for them to feel a bit more believable, but that's what the Performance Center is for. That is what NXT is all about, to make sure that in a couple of years, Javon Evans can go up into the main roster as the entire package, as opposed to just being this great highlight reel in the ring. The future for Javon Evans, who already at 20 years old, already got to main event a NXT PLE at Heatwave. The future for this man is so bright. The ceiling is so high. If you want to give NXT a chance, this is one of the reasons why you should.
Oh my God!
My God!
Do you hear the music?
I do! He's literally making a pizza! To this day, it's still infuriating how this ended. This is crazy. Oh my God.
Oh, yeah. I told you to look at that table.
Folks, that was a sneak peek of this week's Wrestling is Cool Match Club, which is available exclusively on patreon.com/SantiZap. This week, you're going to be getting Edge versus Mick Foley at WrestleMania 22. A match involving a guy that makes pizza during his matches. The Undertaker versus Kurt Angle at No Way Out 2006. CM Punk versus John Cena at Raw 1000. And the famous Bad Bunny versus Damian Priest at Backlash 2023. You get all of this, including the Wrestling is Cool podcast 3 days early, the Raw reviews, SmackDown reviews, and more. So if you want all of that extra value, all of those videos that we simply cannot show on YouTube, come on over to patreon.com/SantiZap. I'll put the link in the description, or it'll be the link in the pinned comment. Come check it out. Even try just for 1 month. I'm confident that you're going to fall in love with it. Back to the video. Sticking with NXT, let's look at Oba freaking Femi. I know that everyone and their mom always talks about Braun Breaker being that guy, that it's Braun Breaker that's going to take the helm and be at the top of the mountain of the WWE. But what happens if you are the mountain that you cannot climb? That man is Oba freaking Femi. He is one of the most dominant WWE superstars right now. He is one of the most powerfully booked WWE superstars that I've seen. Dare I say, he looks more powerful and more dominant than prime NXT Braun Breaker. So that is saying a lot, because Braun Breaker was heavily protected and heavily made to look like a complete badass motherfucker during his time in NXT, and I feel like they're actually doing a better job with Oba Femi. So if you are one of those guys that's like, hey, Braun Breaker is the guy that they're gonna build the WWE around, just keep a lookout around your shoulder, because Oba Femi is right there, and if you blink, he might take that spot away from Braun Breaker, because he is so incredibly good in just about every aspect that you want a WWE superstar at the age of 26 to be good at. It still boggles my mind that Rhea Ripley is 27 years old. This woman is 27 and already has multiple resumes, I would dare say, that would make her a WWE Hall of Famer. She's already won multiple world championships on the main roster. She's headlined a couple of WrestleManias, really, at this point, the Pandemic Mania, where the Royal Rumble winner, Charlotte Flair, chose to go up against Rhea Ripley. Her fantastic sequel to that match at WrestleMania 39 with Charlotte, and of course, the recent match at WrestleMania 40 with Becky Lynch. She's won Money in the Bank, the Royal Rumble already. She did it from number 1. So she is an absolute monster already in terms of accolades. But more than the accolades, in the recent years since she joined the Judgment Day, she has completely been a renaissance of herself. I felt like she was kind of floating around the main roster there for a little while post WrestleMania 38, and I'm glad that the WWE made the decision to pair her up with Judgment Day, pair her up even for a brief little bit of time that it was with Edge, but surrounding her with people that are just veterans of this industry like Damian Priest and Finn Balor just did wonders for her. And of course, to help her develop as a character, just putting her alongside Dominic Mysterio was absolutely brilliant. Not only is she only 27 years old, already with the resume of a Hall of Famer, there's still 15 years left to this Hall of Fame worthy resume to continue to grow. And it's going to grow because the WWE will build the entirety of the women's division around Rhea Ripley for the next decade. I'm of the mind that Tyler Bate is still 19 years old, but the years have been passing and he is 27 years old now. The big, strong boy is getting up there in age, but he hasn't touched 30 yet. I have Tyler Bate on here because I do feel that out of everyone on this list, he is maybe the most consistently good in-ring performer. He's able to wrestle in multiple styles, and every style that he chooses to wrestle in is a style that could give us a match of the night, match of the week contender at any moment. It is a shame that NXT UK died because of the pandemic when it did, because I do feel like they could have built that brand around Tyler Bate, and to me it seemed like that was the plan. This young man that was just taking the UK by storm. And right now he is in the middling areas of the tag team division. Unfortunately, as of the making of this video, he did injure his pec pretty badly, so he's going to be gone for a while, but it doesn't change the fact that I'm excited for the prospect of Tyler Bate when he comes back, whether it's in the tag team division, whether it's singles matches. I do hope that in the near future we separate both him and Pete Dunne and let them have matches against one another and let them absolutely melt our eyeballs with how good their matches are capable of being. Tiffany Stratton, and I've said this numerous times before, she is way too damn good at this thing called professional wrestling wrestling for how little experience she has. She is one of those performance center NXT, like almost like Terminator built WWE superstar, exactly to the specifications that the WWE top brass wants. They grabbed a top level college athlete in Tiffany Stratton that was not this indie professional wrestler, and they took her raw physical talents and they shaped and molded her into the prototypical, quintessential, perfect women's WWE superstar. At 25, she's already one of the most widely liked performers when it comes to in-ring. She's already a Miss Money in the Bank winner. She consistently is the best performer when we have multi-women gimmick matches, like something like a Royal Rumble Elimination Chamber. She was a stand-up performer there. And of course, the Money in the Bank. So clearly the WWE sees a lot of stock in someone like Tiffany Stratton, and it doesn't surprise me in the slightest. At 25 years old, honestly, the sky is the limit for somebody like Tiffany Stratton. I think that her alongside Rhea Ripley are going to be major cornerstones of the women's division for the next 15 years. I feel like this channel is partly wrestling related, but also the glaze factory of Logan Paul, because it seems like every video I'm just hyping up Logan Paul for everybody, and there's always a couple of y'all in the comments that tend to point that out and don't seem to like the fact that I think that Logan Paul is unbelievably good at this thing called professional wrestling. But admit it, like, you have to be impressed by everything that Logan Paul is capable of doing, to the point that our biggest complaint about Logan Paul is how little he's there. But remember, like, he is a special attraction. He's still a celebrity. He's still kind of an outsider doing this thing that we love, and everything that he does when he does come to do it is amazing, it's fantastic, and it's must-watch TV. So if your biggest complaint about the guy is that he isn't there every single week, that just means that you want him every single week because you know how goddamn good he is. I just can't wait for the internet to absolutely explode when he inevitably wins a world championship. It's going to happen, and you're just gonna have to drink Prime and deal with it. Wesley is another one of those current NXT talents that is, in my opinion, already ready to go to the main roster. I don't know why he's still down in NXT. I know he's coming off the back of a pretty severe back injury, so I do think keeping him in NXT is good in that regard, just to continue to allow him to rehab and continue to feel out and have 5-star matches, you know, coming off the back of this injury before he goes on to the main roster. So I do get it from that perspective, but I feel like this guy, in terms of both his character work and his in-ring ability, has been main roster ready for like the past 4 years, in my opinion. Every single year that we talk about match of the year, one of the contenders is a Wesley match without a single shadow of a doubt. And it's going to be the case again this year, because this is just what Wesley does. Wesley is also a perfect example of how the WWE can take somebody from independent wrestling, bring them to the NXT brand, and mold them and shape them into what they want to be. It doesn't always have to be the college athletes with little to no experience in professional wrestling. But at 29 years old, to me, Wesley is always the highlight of every single show that he's on. And anytime that a match is scheduled for Wesley, I'm rushing to go see it, because I know it's going to be a special treat. And let's wrap things up with the current NXT Women's Champion, the 22-year-old Roxanne Perez. Honestly, I could have had like 15 different women from NXT on this list. I just didn't want to make this video an hour long, because the NXT women's division is so stacked right now that it's actually kind of fucking scary. And one of the cornerstones of that absolutely fantastic women's division is Roxanne Perez. I'll be honest with you, I wasn't buying Roxanne Perez, especially during her first run as NXT Women's Champion. To me, the prodigy felt a little bit too forced, and I wasn't really vibing with it. But the last, I'd say, 5 months of Roxanne Perez, I've been so delighted with how good she is. She consistently is putting on banger title matches against all different kinds of women, whether it's more technical wrestlers, more bruisers, whatever it might be. She is able to change and mold her own personal style to fit the style of various different types of wrestlers within the NXT ecosystem. And I think that that is going to be wildly valuable when she inevitably gets called up to the main roster and is capable of having banger matches with a Rhea Ripley, or maybe somebody even bigger and stronger than that, like a Nia Jax, or somebody smaller like a Tegan Nox, whatever it might be. I know that if I put Roxanne Perez with whoever it is, I know that I'm going to get the best match possible. All right, folks, I'm sure I inevitably left somebody that you love off this list, so let me know in the comments. But that's it, folks. I'm done. Get out of here.